How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Nun Gimel, Daf 53 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, these upcoming dafs, I think until the end of the parak ends on Daf Nun Ches. I think until the end of the parak, it's not going to be easy, friends. I don't think it's going to be easy over here. For now, we're talking about Hektish, Meiser Sheni, Machlokas Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda. Not going to be easy stuff, friends. What do you want me to tell you? Alright, fine. But as I've been saying, a few times recently, it doesn't matter. We do it anyways, friends. We do it anyways. Alright. So, we're going to start in Daf Nun Beis Amud Beis, 3 lines into the wide lines. You ready? Taner Rabbanan. We saw this in different content, but we saw this sort of template or context, different content, similar context in Masechta Nazir. After Reb Meir passed away, Reb Yehuda said to his students, Al yikonsu talmidei Reb Meir lichan. I do not want Reb Meir's students coming to our Beis HaMedrash. Because the China cockers, they just want to come to hack my Chinik. They just want to come to hack a Chinik, and I keep them out of here. Let them hack a Chinik some other place, not here. We got stuff to do. That's what he says to the people. Nonetheless, Sumchus forced his way into the Beis HaMedrash. Omer Loim, and he tells the people, Reb Meir, this is what Reb Meir told me. HaMekadesh bechelko, if a fellow is Mekadesh, a fella with kochim meat, right? Bein kochim, bein kochim kalim, whether it's kochim like korban chatas meat, whether it's kochim kalim like korban shlomim meat, right? So if you have like a kohen, and a kohen gets his portion from a korban, and he takes a slab of meat, and gets down on one knee, and he proposes to the love of his life with a piece of meat. Alright? Lo kiddush, it's not good. Kiddushin, it doesn't work. Right? That's what our Mishnah had said. Sumchus forced his way into Reb Yehuda's Beis HaMedrash and quoted Reb Meir that a kohen who's mekadesh, a fella, with some korban meat, it doesn't work. Kos Reb Yehuda got upset aleim on the people. Omer Loim, and he says to them, Lo kach omarti lochem, did I not tell you? Al yikonsu mitamidei Reb Meir lechan, didn't I specifically say that I don't want Reb Meir's students in our Beis HaMedrash? Mipnei shekantronim, because they're China cockers. They don't want to come learn Torah, they just want to hack a Chinik. And says Reb Yehuda, I don't understand. How is it even possible to be Mekadesh a woman with kochim, right? A kochim, for example, a korban chatas. Sorry, mom. So by kochim, so if you have like a korban chatas, and the kohen needs to eat the so a kohen is eating the parts of the korban chatas that he can eat, so that needs to be, he can't take it out of the azar. It has to stay in the azar. Now, what's a fella doing in the azar? How's he going to get down on one knee and be proposed to a fella in the azar? What's she doing there? So Amar Reb Yossi, is witnessing what's going on. And he says, Yomu Meir Shochav, what are the people? What's going to happen? People are going to say, Reb Meir passed away. Yehuda caused. Now Reb Yehuda is getting upset. Yossi Shosak, and me, Reb Yossi, I kept quiet. Divrei Torah Mate Aleo. What's going to happen on the Holy Torah? Reb Yossi was very concerned with what he was seeing, and he says that I need to speak up. V'chi ein adam also the kabel Kiddushin levito ba'azor. Well, says Reb Yossi, look, technically speaking, you can have a fellow who is Mekabel Bisar Kiddushin, not Kesef Kiddushin, but Bisar Kiddushin, meat of Kiddushin, which I guess ultimately is serving as money. But anyways, meaning Reb Yehuda's whole question was like, well, what's a fellow doing in the Azor? You don't need the fella to be there in order to be Mekabel Kesef Kiddushin. There are other ways to be Makabel Kesef Kiddushin. For example, a father can be Makabel Kesef Kiddushin on behalf of his daughter who's a Ketana. So you could have one Kohen who gets down on his knee with a piece of kosher meat, and gives it to the father, right, to another Kohen who's a father, who's got a daughter who's a Ketana, and he's going to accept the Kesef Kiddushin on her behalf. So does that work? It's beside Kodshin. Alternatively, if she's an adult, can't she appoint a shaliach who's a kohen to accept the kiddushin for her in the azara? So, just because she can't go into the azara doesn't mean that it's impossible for her to her kiddushin to be accepted in the azara. Ve'od, and more so, what if she forced her way into the azara? And she, and she accepts the kiddushin from a kohen in the azara, even though she's not allowed to go in there, but she forced her way in. Tanya, we learn in the Brayso, Rabbi Yehuda Omer mikudeshes, Rabbi Yossi Omer enu mikudeshes. Rabbi Yehuda says in that case she would be mikudeshes with the besar kachim, with the kosher meat, whereas Rabbi Yossi Omer enu mikudeshes. Rabbi Yossi says she would not be mikudeshes with the kosher meat. Omer Rabbi Yochanan v'shnei mikra echad darshu, and says Rabbi Yochanan that both Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda are learning their respective opinions from the same verse. V'zeh yeh lecha mikodesh hakadoshim min ha'esh. That this will be to you the kohanim from the kodesh hakadoshim, from these korbanos min ha'esh, from the fire. Rabbi Yehuda savar lecha tzarkecha. Rabbi Yehuda says that when the pasuk says lecha, it means that the b'sar kodshim, that the meat is yours. You want to use it to betroth the woman. Rabbi Yossi savar ka'esh. Rabbi Yossi learns it out from the fact that it says in the pasuk fire, right? It says kodesh hakadoshim min ha'esh, from the fire. Ma'esh la'achila afunami la'achila. Just like when a korban, right, a korban that goes on the fire is completely consumed by the fire, nothing else, the fire eats it. So also the meat of a korban that goes to a kohen, the kohen eats it, can't do anything else with it, can't be mekadosh a woman with it. Okay. Now, Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, Nimnu v'gamru, they took a vote, HaMekadesh, Bechelko ben Kodshim uvein Kodshim Kalim, Lo Kiddush. They took a vote, and the majority opinion was, like Rabbi Yossi, and seemingly like Rabbi Meir as well, that if a fellow is Mekadesh, a fellow with B'sar Kodshim, Lo Kiddush, and that is that, it's no longer, right, and sounds like Rabbi Yehuda, basically, that Rabbi Yehuda, went back and was choser to be like Reb Meir, Reb Yossi, that it would not be good Kiddushin. Rav Amar, whereas Rav says Adaini Machlokas. Rav says no, Reb Yehuda was not choser. It's still Machlokas. Reb Yehuda still holds that a fellow who's Mekadesh, a fellow with B'sar Kodshim, Mikudeshes, it would be good Kiddushin according to Reb Yehuda. Amar Abaye says Abaye Kavasu to Rabbi Yochanan Mistav. Says Abaye that Itaka makes sense like Rabbi Yochanan, that Rabbi Yehuda ultimately agreed with Rabbi Yossi and Reb Meir that if you a fellow's Mekadesh, a fellow with B'sar Kodshim, Eina Miku Deshes. Wait, what? Yes. Eina Miku Deshes. 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 The Tanya is, we learn in the Brayso. How do we know that you cannot divide up minochis keneged zvachim? What does that mean? You can tell me what that means. It means that when it comes to the kohanim dividing up the korbanos, so the way that it works with the kohanim dividing up the korbanos is that they divide up each korban. Okay, so you have a korban mincha, they divide it up among the kohanim. You have a korban chatos, so you divide it up among the kohanim. But you don't start making deals, right? Doesn't belong to the kohanim that they could start cutting deals. Hey, how about I take the mincha, you take the chatos, and we'll start trading things around. No, it doesn't work like that. Each korban is divided up among the kohanim, and that's that. You don't start making deals and start trading. I'll take this, you take that, and I'll take 3 of those, you take 1 of those. Okay. So minayin she'ein cholkim menachos keneged zvachim. So how do we know that you can't say you take these menachos, I'll take these zvachim? Ta'amud lomar v'chol mincha asher teyafe b'toner that any mincha that is baked in the tanner, in the oven, l'chol b'nei aharon tiyeh, they're all to all of the b'nei aharon. They're divided up equally. They're not traded. Yacholo yachliku minachis keneged zvachim, but maybe that's just minachis and zvachim. You can't say you take this mincha, I'll take that zevach. Maybe shelo kamu tachteim bedalus, because after all, if you have a korban olive yored, korban olive yored is a kind of korban that, depending on how much you can afford, you bring a different kind of korban. If you can afford an expensive animal, so you bring an expensive animal. If all you can afford is a bird, so you bring a bird, and that's enough. But you can't bring flour. So therefore, maybe that puts flour in its own league, and that's why you can't trade a mincha for an animal that was slaughtered as a korban. But maybe you can trade minchas and birds, because there are korbanos that a poor person, right, if they can't afford to bring a bird, so they bring a mincha, a flower offering. And since flower offerings and bird offerings can be interchangeable, so therefore I might think that maybe you can trade between minchas and bird offerings. Therefore it says so the thing is, if you look at the pasuk, right? So there are two psukim that we just quoted here. V'chol mincha, I'm just quoting these psukim now. V'chol mincha shetiofe betoner, v'chol naisib b'macheshes, v'amachvas, l'koyin ha'makivos elotiyeh, v'chol mincha blula b'ashemen v'charevo, l'chol b'nei aharon tiyeh ish ka'achiv. So the point is that all of that middle stuff is extra. All it needs to say is v'chol mincha shetiofe betoner, and then skip the rest of that pasuk, skip the first part of the next pasuk, l'chol b'nei aharon tiyeh ish ka'achiv. That's all it needs to say. All that stuff in the middle is extra, and we're going to learn out different things from each section of each extra section. So, when it says v'chol naisi b'macheshes, which is extra, is to teach l'chol b'nei aharon tiyeh that also, between a mincha, a flower offering, and a bird offering, also those are divided up among the Kohanim. They're not traded. So maybe you can't trade between minchas and ofis, right? Flower offerings and bird offerings. Maybe because they're two, right? A bird is an animal that has blood. Flower is flower. There's no blood in flower. So therefore you can't trade among those two. But if you have an animal and you have a bird, maybe you can trade among those instead of dividing each one up. After all, birds and animals both are both have blood. Tamulomar al machvas. When it says al machvas in the pasuk, which is oichet extra, it's to come to say that birds and animals are not interchangeable. So maybe you can't trade between birds and animals. Because a bird, the shchita is with your hand, right? What's that thing called when you kill it with the fingernail? Malika, right? So a bird in the Beis Hamikdash is slaughtered by sticking your fingernail through its neck, whereas an animal is killed by slitting its throat with a knife. So because they have different ways of being killed, so maybe they are. That's why they're not interchangeable and tradable. Maybe different types of menachis can be traded among each other. Both of them are flower offerings that you do with your hands. It says all minchas are divided up among the bnei aharon. They can't be traded. But maybe when it comes to minachas, you can't trade marcheshes minchas and machvas minchas. A machvas is a thinner kind of like pan, whereas a marcheshes is a deeper kind of pan. So the machvas, the thinner pan it's like more of like a harder cracker, more crackery, more harder kind of bread, whereas the one in the deeper pan is going to be a softer kind of a bread. So it's possible, okay, so maybe when we say that you cannot trade different menachas, maybe you can't trade a marcheshes mincha with a machvas mincha. Shezo my same rakim, shezo my same caution, because the machvas are harder breads and the marcheshes is a softer bread. אבל יחלקו מחבס כנגד מחבס ומחשס כנגד מחשס שללו וללו מייסים kosher minami meiseim rakim. But maybe you can trade marcheshes minchas with each other and machvas minchas with each other because they're the same types of breads. Tamaloma v'chareva l'chol b'nei aharon tia. No, it also says v'chareva, also to learn out that even machvases and machvases and marcheshes and marcheshes cannot be traded among each other. They have to be divided up equally. Yacholo yachlku bekodesh hakodoshim ava yachlku bekodesh kalim. Is it possible? Okay, so fine. So a mincha is a kodesh kodesh, right? You don't need minchas outside of the azar. Mincha is a kodesh kodesh. So maybe okay. So we don't trade kodesh kodesh. But maybe kodshim kalim you could trade, right? Maybe you take this, you take this shlomim and I'll take that toda or something. So Tamaloma, therefore it says ish ke'achiv. So it says ish ke'achiv, meaning the pasuk by mincha. V'samachle, then it says right afterwards, im al toda, it starts talking about a korban toda, which is a kodshim kalim. Kshem she'in cholkim bekodshei kodshim, just like you don't trade kodshei kodshim, kachin cholkim bekodshim kalim, you actually don't trade kodshim kalim. Continues the Braise, ish cholek afilu balmum v'ena kotin cholek v'afilu tam. An adult can divide, can take a portion in these korbanos, but even if he has a mum, but not a minor, even though the minor does not have a mum. And now says the Gemara, stam sifra mani Rabbi Yehuda. This long Braise that we just quoted was in Sifra. Who could tell me what Sifra is? Sifra is the Medrash Halacha on Sefer Vayikra, on the book of Leviticus. And that Stam Sifra is Rabbi Yehuda. So therefore we're assuming that the opinion, that the Brisa is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda is saying you cannot trade these korbanos, which means that these korbanos do not belong to the Kohanim to be able to trade, and therefore they do not belong to the Kohanim to be able to be Mikadesh a fellow with. And therefore it sounds like Rabbi Yehuda agrees with Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir that you cannot be, a Kohen cannot be Mikadesh a fellow with Bisar Kodshim V'ka'amar delezba din chaluka klal shma mina. And Rabbi Yehuda, as I just explained, is saying that you can't trade these kodshim because they're not considered yours to be able to trade, and also they're not yours to be able to be mikadesh a fellow. Amar Rav, says Rav, uchrav milo Tanya. But one second, says Rav, do we not have a brisa that supports Rav, who says that Rabbi Yehuda does still argue and does still hold that if you're mekadesh with kodshim mikudeshes, with beside kodshim mikudeshes, but don't we learn in the brisa hatznuim moshchin es yadeim? So this is talking about that during the times of Shimon HaTzadik. During the times of Shimon HaTzadik, so there was a bracha in the Beis HaMikdash, and it was a bracha with the lechem upon him. But after Shimon HaTzadik passed away, there was no longer a bracha in the lechem upon him, and people would only get small amounts. It wasn't even a kazayis, and it says that tznu moshchen esedeim, and the people who were modest would just not eat it. Gargaronim, and those who were more gargaroni, they were like gargaroni kind types, gluttony kind of types. Cholkim, they would divide it up. So that sounds like they would like trade it for other things. So my cholkim chotfim, no, it means that they would like grab it from other people. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that they would trade it. Kidiktani seifa, as we learn in the seifa of that brisa, Maise be'echad, that there was a Maise with a fellow, Shechotav Chelko, V'chelik Chavero, that he grabbed his portion of the lechem upon him and his friend's portion. Vayikorin also ben Chamson, they called him the son of the extorter. They called him the extorter. Ad Yomos, until the day that he died. Amar Rabbi Rav Shila Maikra, where do we see that Chamson is like an extorter? Elokai, Palteni miad Resha, save me from the nudniks, Mikaf me'avel v'chometz, from a nudnik and an extorter. Rabba Amar Me'acha Limdu Eitev Dirshu Mishpat Ashu Chamotz, and save the person who is extorted. So we see that Chamotz and stuff is extortion. All right. So now continuing in the Mishnah, Meiser Sheni Ben Bishogig Ben B'Mezid Lo Kiddush V'Meir. So Meir says that when it comes to Meiser Sheni, if a fellow's Mekadesh a fellow with Meiser Sheni, so whether he does it on purpose, whether he does it by accident, it does not work. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda Shogeg Lo Kiddush Mezid Kiddush. Rabbi Yehuda says, if he does it by accident, it does not work, but if he does it on purpose, it does work. How do we know that, according to Reb Meir, if a fellow is Mekadesh a fellow with Meiser Sheni, it does not work? Whether it's on purpose, whether it's by accident, it does not work. Amr Vacha Brei Dirava Mishmei de Gemara. Okay, so Rav Acha B'Dirava says, I guess in the name of some kind of a tradition, a Gemara tradition. V'chol Meiser Haaretz, that when it comes to Meiser Sheni, the pasuk says, v'chol Meiser Haaretz, when it comes to Meiser Sheni, Mizer Haaretz Mipriya Eitz LaHashem Hu Kodesh LaHashem. That it's God's, that it is God's. That it's God's. Where am I? LaHashem Hu V'lo L'Kadesh Bo Isha. It belongs to God. Meiser Sheni belongs to God. It does not belong to you to be Mekadesh a fellow with. Hare Trumas Meiser. What about Trumas Meiser? Who could tell me what Trumas Meiser is? Trumas Meiser is that when you separate Meiser Rishon, you give it to a Levi takes 10% of what he receives and gives it to the Kohen, and that's proper Truma. So Dichsiv Kain Tarimu Gam Atem Trumas Hashem. It says by Trumas Meiser that you'll separate Trumas Hashem, and yet Vitnan we learn in the Mishnah Mekadesh b'Trumis Mikudeshes, that a fellow can be Mekadesh with Trumis. Wow, there's a low-flying helicopter. That a fellow can be Mekadesh with Trumis, even though it says Trumas Hashem. Dilo ksiv bei la Hashem. Yeah, but it doesn't say la Hashem. It says Trumas Hashem, not la Hashem. Varei chale. What about chale? Dichsiv bei that it says Titnu la Hashem. It says by chale. What does the pasuk say? Mereishis harisosechem Titnu la Hashem. Truma l'dorisechem. So it says la Hashem. Where am I? Vitnana mekadesh b'truma mikudeshes. That even though it says la Hashem, you can be mekadesh with trumas. To loksiv bei kodesh. Yeah, but it doesn't say kodesh la Hashem, right? As it says by Meiser Sheni. Where am I? Very shvius. But what about Shemitah? But it says Yovel he. It says Yovel because Yovel is also a Shemitah year. I assume that's the point. Kodesh Tielechem. So it does say Kodesh there. Vitnan, and yet it says a Mekadesh Peir Shvius Mekudesh. It could be Mekadesh Peir Shvius, even though it says Kodesh Tielechem Bei La Hashem, but it doesn't say La Hashem. But Meiser Sheni says Kodesh and La Hashem. Very Trume. What about Trume? Dichsiv Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. That the Yidden are holy to the Eibishter. Reishis to also the first of his fruits, like Trume. Vitnan Mekadesh b'Truma Mikudeshes, and yet we know that you could be Mekadesh with Truma, even though it says Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. How be so? Yeah, but the apostle is not talking about Truma; it's talking about the Yidden. Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, that the Yidden are holy to the Eibishter. Perfect the Gemara, but still, what's it saying? It's saying that the Yidden are holy to the Eibishter like Truma. So it's comparing the Yidden to Truma, and it's saying Kodesh Hashem be'etzem by Truma and by association by the Yidden. So Tigma Rav and Sove Kame Dirav or Makra Hu Pavayoso Yehei. Look, if you look at the pasuk by Meiser Sheni, it says V'chol Meiser Arts Mizer Arts Mipriya Eitz Hashem Hu. It's from the Hu, right? Kodesh Hashem. From the Hu, we learn out that it is holy for the Eibishter, but not right. But Havayoso Yehei. It has to remain as it is. Don't use it to betroth a fellow. Okay. Very nice. Uvehekdish b'meizid kidesh b'shogeg lo kidesh divrei Meir. Reb Meir says when it comes to hekdish, if a fellow is mekadesh a fellow with hekdish by accident, so then kidesh. But if it's b'meizid, fakert. If it's b'shogeg lo kidesh, it does not work. It's not good Kiddushin, but if it's b'mezid, then it is good Kiddushin. Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda fakert, b'shogeg kidesh, if it's by accident, then kidesh, b'mezid lo kidesh, if it's on purpose, then lo kidesh, then it's not Kiddushin. Amr Rabbi Yankiv, mine di Rabbi Yochanan tarte. So Rabbi Yankiv says that he learns from Rabbi Yochanan two things. Shigigos meiser de Rabbi Yehuda, Shigigas hekdish de Rabbi Meir, that when it comes to be mekadesh meiser sheni by accident according to Rabbi Yehuda, or hekdish if he's mekadesh a woman with hekdish by accident according to Rabbi Meir, shneim eno ish miskadesh boim. In both of those cases, their respective opinions are that a fellow is not miskadeshes, right? Reb Meir says if a fellow is mikadesh a fellow with hektish by accident, she is not mikudeshes. Reb Yehuda says if a fellow is mikadesh a fellow with meiser sheni by accident, she is not mikudeshes. And Reb Yochanan gave two reasons, right? Amar Reb Yochanan tarte, that in both these cases, Shigas Meiser Reb Yochanan, Shigas Hektish Reb Meir, Shneim Ein Isha Miskadeshes Bohem, Chada Lefi She'ein Isha Rotza, and in one of the cases, whether it's Reb Yehuda by Meiser Sheni, or whether it's Reb Meir by Hektish, in one of the cases, the reason is because She'ein Isha Rotza, because the woman's not going to want it. V'chada Lefi She'ein Shneim Rotzim, and the second one is because neither one of them want for it to be good Kiddushin. And says Reb Yaakov that I'm not sure which one is which. I'm not sure if the reason why Meiser Sheni, according to Reb Yehuda, Bishogeg Eina Mikudeshes, I'm not sure if that's because she doesn't want it or because of both of them don't want it. And I'm not sure if Hektish, Bishogeg, according to Reb Meir, she's not Mikudeshes because she doesn't want it or because of both of them don't want it. It's unclear to me which one is which over there. Omar Reb Yirmiyah says, Reb Yirmiyah, Nechzion, why don't we just use our noggins and figure it out ourselves? Meiser, when it comes to Meiser Sheni, Ihi lo nichala, she is not good. It's a headache for her. Mishum tircha dorcha, she's going to have to schlep it in order for it to be good Kiddushin, right? Meiser Sheni outside of Yerushalayim is worthless because you can't eat it outside of Yerushalayim. You have to schlep it to Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim, it's worth epis. So it's a schlep for her to bring the Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim. So surely she's not going to want it. What does he care? He doesn't have to schlep it to Yerushalayim. She does. So he doesn't mind. But Hektish, on the other hand, neither one wants that Hektish should be mischal al yadayu, right? Kilu, you have something that's Hektish. It belongs to the Beis Hamikdash. It's holy. And the fact that it's good Kiddushin, maybe it's very nice, Mazel Tov, they're married, but at the same time, it's what's it called when it's like nice and at the same time? Bittersweet. It's bittersweet. It's sweet because they're married. It's bitter because they just took something holy. The reason why how do I say this? If it was still hektish, then it wouldn't be good kiddushin. The fact that it's good kiddushin means that it's no longer hektish, and because that way you can use it for kiddushin. You can't use hektish for kiddushin. So the fact that it was good kiddushin means that by using it for kiddushin, you were mischalel it. You deconsecrated it, and now because of your kiddushin, that is what made it no longer hektish, which is. Neither one of them wants that because it's not very nice that you mischal hektish in order to get married. So therefore, Reb Yirmiyah argues that can't we just use our noggins to say that it must be that when Reb Yochanan says that she doesn't want it, it's by Meiser Sheni because she has to schlep it to Yerushalayim, and when both of them don't want it, it's by hektish because lo naim that hektish should be mischal for their kiddushin. Reb Yankiv Omar Ipcha Mistava. Whereas Rabbi Yaakov, who says, I'm not sure which one is because she doesn't want it, which one is because both of them don't want it. Milo Ika Lemeimar, can't you argue fakert? Meiser, that when it comes to Meiser Sheni, both of them don't want it. She doesn't want the Meiser Sheni because it's a schlep to have to bring it to Yerushalayim. And he doesn't want it because, well, if anything happens to the Meiser Sheni, guess who's on the hook? Guess who's on the line? He is. He's going to have to replace it. So he also doesn't want that. But I can argue that by hektish, yeah, granted, she's, it's lo na'im for her that hektish should have to become mischal in order for her to get married. So she wouldn't want it. But I can argue that him, according to him though, I can argue, what does he care? I mean, he gets kiddush, he can use this thing, it becomes kiddushin. He has it available. He can use it for Kiddushin. It's good Kiddushin. What does he really care? Okay. Fine. When Reb Meir says that, hektish b'shogeg eina mikudeshes, So does that mean that it remains hektish? If she's not mekudeshes, does that mean that it remains hektish? Or no, they are now chulin? So Amalei, Isha Emis Kadesh is Mosech Yetzu L'chulin. So Rav Chizda responded, I don't really understand the question. If she's not mikudeshes, which means that the money wasn't effectively used for Kiddushin, so then of course they remain hektish. How would they become unhektish? Rav Chia bar Oven, Rav Chizda b'mecher mai. Rav Chia bar Oven asked Rav Chizda, what would Rav Meir say by a sale? Right? If a person accidentally used money of hektish in order to buy property, so what would Rav Meir say there? Is it a good transaction or not? Right? By Kiddushin he says it's not good Kiddushin. What would he say? Would it be a proper sale? So Amarle, so Rav Chizda answers, Af b'mecher lo kana. That oichit, when it comes to a sale, a property sale, it does not work there either. Eisvei, but Rav Chia bar Oven asks a kasha, Chenvani kibal abayis divrei Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda Omer Chenvani kishulchani. What's that talking about? What it's talking about is if the gizber gives money to, well, so there's three players over here, right? There's a balabayis, a regular Joe. There's a money changer, and then there's a store owner. So if the gizber gives money to a money changer, well, money changers clearly are dealing with money all the time and they have to know what's what. So if the temple treasury gives money to a money changer and it's like kind of bundled together and set it, organized neatly, so then if the money changer uses that money that was organized neatly and set aside, well then he's the one who has to be in Korban Me'ilah for using the money of hektish, because he was supposed to leave them aside. But if the gizber did not package them up for him and just gave them a bunch of random coins, well, they know that a money changer is always dealing with lots of different coins, and if he ends up using those coins, well then it's their fault. Now when it comes to a balabayis isn't always like dealing with tons of cash and coins at all times like a money changer is. So it's assumed that in any event, right, if the gizber gives money to a balabayis, I guess, to hold on to, so whether they're packaged properly, whether they're bundled properly, whether they are not, it makes no difference. He can't, if he uses them, so then he will be over Amilah because he needs to leave them alone. The question is, what about a store owner? Do we say, well, a store owner is always, there's money always coming and going, so therefore he's like a money changer? Or do we say that a storekeeper mostly buys on commission, on credit, and therefore he's not always, paying with cash all the time, therefore he's more like a balabayis, like a regular Joe. So we have this brayse that says Chenvani, a store owner kebalabayis. We treat him like a regular Joe. Div Reb Meir. Reb Yehuda Omer says Reb Yehuda Chenvani kishulchani, that a store owner is like a money changer, and therefore, so the question is, in terms of if he uses the money to purchase something, who is over on Me'ilah? But points out, but Reb Chia bar Oven asks the kasha, Ad kan lo kamiflege el d'maiser v'chenvani kishulchani u'maiser v'chenvani k'balabayis. Look, Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda are arguing, do we treat a store owner like a money changer? Do we treat a store owner like a homeowner? But in terms of who's going to be responsible if he uses that money to purchase something. But both Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda seem to be on the same page that imhotzi ma'al, that there's still a din me'ilah, that if he uses this money to purchase something, the money becomes deconsecrated in that way, and the sale is a good sale. The question is, who's responsible? Is it the gizber? Is it the store owner? Who's responsible for the me'ilah? But everyone agrees that there would be me'ilah, that if you use this hektish money in order to purchase a property, so you're getting benefit from hektish, it would be me'ilah, it would no longer be hektish, and it would be a good sale. So, answers of Chizda, look, Reb Meir l'dvarav Reb Yehuda ka'amar, Reb Meir was just responding to Reb Yehuda. L'didi, says Reb Meir, look, according to me, imhotzi nami lo ma'al. No, even if he used this money to buy a property, it is not the me'ilah, it remains hektish. And just like if you're makadesh a woman by accident with mos hektish, it is not good kiddushin and it remains hektish. So also if you purchase a property by accident with mos hektish, it remains hektish. However, el ladidach, but according to you, Rabbi Yehuda, Odi Limia, that you say that it would not remain hektish, but at least admit that a store owner is like a homeowner. Rabbi says, no, I don't agree. A store owner is like a money changer. Okay, but Rabbi Meir would still say that by a sale, but by a sale. So then, although Rashi's loka chayfetz b'mos hektish, he purchases an object. What? So it's not dafka property. I don't know, but if he's using the money for a sale, that is what we are talking about. And apparently, Reb Meir would say that it would not work. Friends, that was the Afnun Beis of Masechta Kiddushin. Wow, yeah, we could do. Yeah, stuff isn't super easy, right? We're talking about Kodshim, we're talking about Ma'aser Sheni, we're talking about Hektish, Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda. So we started off talking about Kodshim. Mekadesh Shefela with Kodshimit. We saw Machlokas Reb Yehuda and Reb Yossi about would it be good Kiddushin. Reb Yehuda says yes. Reb Yossi says no. We saw Machlokas between Reb Yochanan and Rav. Reb Yochanan says that ultimately Reb Yehuda agreed with Reb Yossi. Rav says that no, they still argue. We saw the source for the opinion of Reb Meir that when it comes to Ma'aser Sheni, you cannot be Mekadesh Shefela with it, whether it's on purpose, whether it's by accident. And then we got into this concept of hektish. We saw the opinions of Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Meir when it comes to hektish and Ma'aser Sheni, and the opinions of Reb Yochanan about why it doesn't work by accident according to both of them in their respective things. And then we started talking about by mecher and buying things. Friends, this is going to get like pretty technical stuff. We're going to continue with this tomorrow, God willing, on Daf, tomorrow's Nandalit, I think, of Masechta Kiddushin. Peace out.